2 years ago, going down the bicycle trail at Virginia Beach, I was going to the beach, and God spoke to me very clearly, and He said to me, "Son, I want you to go down to the beach, and I want you to sit on the boardwalk." So I went down to the beach, and I sat at the boardwalk, and I sat on one of the benches, and after the first hour, I asked God, I said, "Why do you have me sitting here?" And He said, "Son, I want you to sit there and pay attention." And after an hour went by, nothing happened, and right after that, I kept asking God, "Can I get up and go?" He said, "No, stay there." So I sat there a second hour, and I stayed there a third hour. At the end of the third hour, waiting for whatever God was going to show me, I just sit there and kept asking Him, what's He getting ready to do? But immediately after that, in front of my eyes, over the Atlantic Ocean appeared a giant leopard. Now, I was looking in the clouds, and there weren't hardly any clouds out there, but that day, God supernaturally put together a leopard over the North Atlantic Ocean. And when He put this leopard together, He said, "I want you to see this." Now, this is 2 years before Obama becomes president. As I'm looking at this leopard, He's saying this leopard's going to devour much flesh. And what He was showing me was, as I watched the tail form, the back legs, the body, the front arms, the head, the whiskers, as I'm watching all this form, I watched this leopard. And I've got this beautiful leopard over the Atlantic facing Europe, or heading out towards Europe, and I'm looking at it, and He said, "Jack, let me tell you something, son, this leopard's going to devour much flesh." Well, I really didn't think too much about it. But immediately after that, God started to show me some events that took place. But one of the amazing things is that Obama, 2 years later, becomes President of the United States. Now, what's so amazing about that is that He showed me the leopard 2 years before Obama became President. And Obama, or Africa itself, is a land of leopards throughout the whole country. And it's just really amazing that I tied that in to, the book of Daniel, chapter 7. So you can read chapter 7 of the book of Daniel, and it talks about the third beast being a leopard. And it's just really amazing that this happened. So I'm just going to encourage everybody right now, for these YouTubes that I'm doing, that people have asked me questions. People have been asking me questions in emails, and they've been saying, "Has God ever showed you anything pertaining to a submarine attack?" And I've told the answer is yes. The Lord has let me see off the east coast of the United States, in the Norfolk Canyon, the Baltimore Canyon, off Georgia Banks, the Grand Banks, all off the east coast of the United States in days to come, that communist submarines will launch neutron missiles into all the east coast cities of the United States. They'll take out Miami, they're going to take out Fort Lauderdale, they'll take out Jacksonville, Atlanta, Georgia, parts of North Carolina, Virginia, Norbert, Portsmouth, Hampton, Newport News, Virginia Beach, Suffolk, Williamsburg, Yorktown. Anywhere where there's mass populations will neutron missiles be launched, surface-to-air missiles, into the multitudes of the people. And the destruction that's coming upon the East Coast is going to be beyond imagination. And then Russia will be able to take the East Coast of the United States hands down. But to answer your question, yes, God has showed me, and a lot of you have had visions of submarines firing missiles into the East Coast of the United States, and yes, this is going to happen, and it's probably going to happen sooner than later. Some other people have asked me, how about the tidal waves? Yes, the tidal waves will come, but I do not think the tidal waves are going to come until after New York City has been taken out. And again, you can go to my writings, you see where I talk about 10 long-range intercontinental ballistic missiles, each one carrying 5 150-kiloton thermonuclear warheads, will be carried into New York City, which is Babylon the Great, the mother of all whores. And one day all of your plagues shall come upon you. It's amazing. I was sent an email from a young lady in Portsmouth, Virginia, and she read me a statement made by the Trilateral and the Illuminati back in 1963 or 1964, when they publicly announced that when the lights in New York City finally go out, we can take complete control of everything. So I think they're waiting for this event, and then the New World Order will come into play. Alright, so anyway, when this event happens, now you got to go to the book of Revelations and read that, because that'll be part of the plagues spoken of in Revelations 18. Babylon the Great, the mother of all whores, and one day all of your plagues shall come upon you. Now, let me get to this writing real quick. So anyway, after God had showed up to me on the boardwalk and showed me the leopard in the sky, it's amazing that Obama becomes president. After he becomes president, he comes from a land of leopards. And so I just encourage you to go read Daniel chapter 7 and see what you come up with leopards. But I'm going to tell you right now, he's not the Antichrist. Don't worry about it. Alright, in 209, God also showed up on the bicycle trail. Now let me tell you something. In 209, last spring, I was on my way to the ocean front and I was riding my bike. And when I was riding my bike, halfway down to the ocean front, the Lord Himself appeared to me in an open vision. And when He appeared to me in this open vision, it was so powerful that I had to stop my bike, put my kickstand down, and I sit there and stared into space. Everybody thought I lost my mind or something, but here I am looking at the throne seat of God Almighty. And I'll give you a quick description of what I saw. What I saw I saw God Almighty with long, screaming, woolly hair, white wool hair going all the way down his back, with just this royal purple and red king's robe. It was beyond imagination, and yes, there was smoke all around it, this pure, holy, white smoke. And I'm just sitting there stupid, dumbfounded. I didn't know what to do. I said, God, why are you showing yourself to me in this vision? Now, you know, I couldn't see Him face to face because, if you know the scriptures, I would have been a dead man. But He showed Himself to me in an open vision. And He said, now, Jackson, let me tell you something. I'm coming to sit in judgment now. And you can read that in Isaiah. I'm coming to sit in judgment over the nations of the earth. And that visitation just totally blew me away. And I was so dumbfounded, I was just like, God, I'm such an unrighteous person. I said, when I want to do good, I end up doing wrong. And when I do wrong, I want to end up doing good. And I said, it's backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. And I said, you know, God, you know, who am I? But He said, go ahead and tell the people. Now, you can go to my prophecies on my writings that Sarah wrote up, and you can see that in 2009. Now, there was that event. Okay, now we have the leopard. Then on the bike trail, we have God showing up on the bike trail in an open vision to me, telling me He's coming to sit in judgment over the nations of the earth. Okay? All right, let's go to the next event right after that. That fall, and I wrote it down here, was in November, I think it was. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, it was that November. The east coast of the United States was having tremendous storms, and there was a storm that came up from the Gulf back during the month of November. Where is that? Hold on. It was a November 11/11. And during that period of time, we had a northeaster come up, and here's what happened, which makes it very strange. A storm was coming up from the Gulf. It was coming up the east coast of the United States. And then out of the Bermuda Triangle, another storm came up out of the Bermuda Triangle, collided with the northeaster, or the storm front that was coming up from Florida, and held it over Virginia Beach for 3 days. The gale force winds were going as high as 75 miles an hour. It was strange. It was a strange storm because the rain just came down for 3 days straight, and just total sheets of rain. And when I would go outside to look at this, and the winds would gust all the way up to 60, 70, 75 miles an hour, God let me see in the spirit realm the angels and demons fighting for the city of Virginia Beach, because this is where the nation was dedicated to God by the Puritans down here at Cape Henry. Now this battle went on for 3 days. Everybody in this part of Virginia, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Hampton, Newport News, Williamsburg, Suffolk, and a little bit of the Outer Banks of North Carolina, were totally amazed. They said, this is an eerie, dark, weird storm. It is not natural. And we can feel the powers of darkness. Well, they could feel the powers of darkness, but guess what? I was able to see them. And when these winds would go from 35 miles an hour and gust all the way up to 75, I could see the demonic beings and the angelic beings fighting with their swords, doing battle. And when they would flash their wings forward, that would create the 75 mile an hour winds. And these were big angels. I'm talking 300 and 400 feet tall, fighting for the city of Virginia Beach. So when that happened, I was like, oh man, this is unbelievable. And the city of Virginia Beach still has not gotten over this battle, or this northeaster, this storm that came up from the Bermuda Triangle. And I want to let you know, the Bermuda Triangle is where one of the fallen watchers are buried. There's 19 others buried along the equator line around the world. But the Bermuda Triangle is a portal into the kingdom of hell. And one day I'll talk more about that. But this is where all the sorcerers, black magicians, witches, Satanists all go to meet for their strategies against Christians. And the first person, or the first creatures you meet when you go to these portals, are mermaids. So the mermaids, or the mer people, are actually the greeters welcoming all the sorcerers in for their meetings with Satan and high-ranking demons on how to destroy Christians. So if you ever want to know what a mermaid really is, that's what they are. They're the greeters into the portals of hell for those that are coming to do the work of Satan. The Bermuda Triangle is one of these portals into the kingdom of hell. So anyway, so during that period of time, during that storm, like I said, the city of Virginia Beach has not recovered from that storm yet. It has left an eerie, foreboding darkness over Virginia Beach. And we have had nothing but rain, high winds, and snow. We haven't had snow for years. Last week, we got a foot of snow out of a clear blue sky. The state of Virginia, which you can look on the National Weather Forecast, Virginia is just being hit one storm right after another. And it's because of the spiritual battle going on for the state of Virginia and the city of Virginia Beach. All right. Around the 18th of January, right after Christmas here, 2010, I gave those prophecies for the year 2010. And let me remind you, the viewer, that the prophecies I gave for the year 2010, not all of them are going to happen. I just gave them for the year 2010, and a lot of these things will not happen until later on down the road. They're not all going to happen in the year 2010, but they're going to happen. So you can bank on that, and I guarantee that. But anyway, around the 18th of the month, and I'm going to have to stop again and pick her up again.